Welcome to your personalized deep dive into Bangkok. We've got articles, travel guides, even some blog posts all about this incredible city.
And we're going to make sure you get the most out of it.
Exactly. By the time we're done, you'll be ready to book that flight. And speaking of flights, one article mentioned how many international travelers are flying into Don Mueang Airport now, DMK, instead of Suvarnabhumi, BKK. Is there something about this secondary airport?
Well, DMK has become a popular option, especially in Southeast Asia. It's often less crowded than Suvarnabhumi, and a lot of budget airlines fly out of there.
Ah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So for travelers on a budget, maybe skip the crowds, head to DMK. Okay, let's jump into the city itself. One thing that really stood out was Wat Arun. That iconic temple I read, the central tower, is covered in porcelain.
It is. Back in the 18th century, they used broken pieces of Chinese porcelain to decorate the temple.
Really? That's fascinating. So they recycled and created something beautiful. What a cool story.
And the visual effect is just striking. When the sunlight hits it, it shimmers, it sparkles.
Okay, Wat Arun is officially at the top of my must-see list. Now, I can't talk about Bangkok temples without mentioning Wat Pho, home to that giant reclining Buddha. What stories or beliefs are associated with this magnificent statue?
Well, the reclining Buddha represents Buddha passing into nirvana. It's an incredible sight, over 150 feet long, covered in gold leaf. But beyond that, it's a powerful symbol of enlightenment.
It's amazing how these temples aren't just architecture, but they hold so much cultural and religious significance. Every corner of Bangkok seems steeped in history. Speaking of history, we have to talk about the Chao Phraya River.
Ah, the River of Kings. It really is the lifeblood of Bangkok. Not just transportation, but a journey through the city's history. You've got temples, historical neighborhoods, modern skyscrapers, all along the banks.
You really painted a picture there. I can practically hear the sounds of the river and those long-tail boats. One of the articles mentioned that taking a river cruise, especially at night, is a great way to see the city. Different perspective.
Absolutely. At night, the temples are all lit up, the city lights reflecting on the water. Magical.
Now, if we're talking about unique experiences on the water, we can't forget about those floating markets.
Oh, the floating markets. Demnon Sarawak, Amphoa, they're a quintessential Bangkok experience. They've been around for centuries. And although they're popular with tourists, you still get a glimpse of that traditional way of life.
Some of the travel bloggers said they're a must-do. But I also read some opinions saying they're too crowded and touristy. What's your take?
Well, some of the larger markets like Damno and Sarawak can get quite crowded, especially on weekends. But if you're after a more authentic experience, Amphoa is a great alternative.
So maybe Amphoa and going early, avoid the crowds. Good to know.
Yeah, and even if it's a bit crowded, it's still a unique cultural experience. Imagine you're in a small boat surrounded by vendors selling everything from fresh produce to handmade crafts. It's like you're transported to another time.
You're making me want to book that plane ticket right now.
Speaking of shopping, I've heard about this Chatuchak weekend market. Ooh, Chatuchak. One of the world's largest outdoor markets, over 15,000 stalls. Get ready for sensory overload, sights, smells, sounds, endless shopping, and food.
15,000 stalls? You could spend a whole day there and not see it all. Any tips for navigating this massive market?
Definitely have a plan. What are you interested in? Vintage clothing, handmade crafts, snacks? Do a little research, map out the sections you want to visit. It's easy to get overwhelmed, so a plan is a lifesaver.
Great tip. And if I get lost in the maze of stalls, at least I'll be surrounded by great food. No matter where you go in Bangkok, delicious food is never far away.
That's the beauty of Bangkok. Caters to every taste and budget, street food to Michelin-starred restaurants.
Okay, temples, river, floating markets, massive weekend market. Are you ready for something completely different?
Bring it on.
How about diving into the underwater world? Sea Life Bangkok Ocean World. I'm curious about that shark dive experience. Have you ever tried it?
Well, I haven't personally done the shark dive, but I hear it's an unforgettable experience, perfect for anyone who wants to get up close with the ocean's creatures.
And for those of us who prefer to stay dry, the ocean world still offers a journey through those marine ecosystems, right?
Exactly. It's a great way to see a diverse range of life, from colorful fish to majestic sharks.
Yeah.
And don't miss the jellyfish universe. It's mesmerizing.
Okay, you've convinced me. Ocean world is going on the list. Now, after the underwater world, how about we step back in time at Muang Boran, the ancient city?
Muang Boran. Truly unique open-air museum, over 200 acres, filled with replicas of Thailand's most important historical structures. It's like stepping into a living history book.
I'm intrigued by that idea, seeing these replicas in one place. Great way to get a crash course in Thai history and architecture.
It is. You can wander through palaces, temples, even traditional villages. Immerse yourself in Thailand's heritage and escape the city for a bit.
Underwater world, ancient city. This deep dive is really showcasing the diversity of experiences Bangkok has to offer. You know what else I'm curious about? Bangkok at night.
Oh, get ready for a completely different vibe. Bangkok after dark is something else.
I read that one of the best ways to experience the city at night is to take a cruise along the Chao Phraya River. Would you recommend that?
Absolutely. It's a different world from the daytime cruises. Temples are all lit up, the city lights reflecting on the water.
I can only imagine. And then, of course, you've got those rooftop bars with those panoramic city views. What's it like experiencing Bangkok's nightlife from up there?
Breathtaking. Sipping a cocktail with the cityscape stretching out in front of you. Unforgettable. And don't forget those bustling night markets. The energy is contagious.
Okay, Bangkok by day and by night. The city really has it all. But after exploring, we'll need a place to rest. And luckily, Bangkok seems to have options for everyone.
It does. Luxurious riverside hotel. Stylish boutique hotel in the heart of the city. A budget-friendly guest house. Bangkok has it all.
Let's break it down by district. I'm picturing myself in Siam, shopping malls, cultural experiences.
Siam is a shopper's paradise. High-end boutiques to local craft stalls, museums, art galleries, even traditional Thai dance performances.
Something for everyone in Siam. What about Sukhumvit? What kind of vibe can we expect there?
Sukhumvit is known for its cosmopolitan atmosphere. Diverse dining, vibrant nightlife, a hub for expats. So you'll find a mix of cultures and languages.
So international flair mixed with Bangkok's energy. Sukhumvit is the place to be. What about the Grand Palace area? Seems like the perfect spot for those wanting a more historical and cultural experience.
Absolutely. The Grand Palace area is all about history and tradition. You've got iconic landmarks like Wat Phra Kaeo and the Emerald Buddha, but also traditional Thai houses, charming guest houses.
I can picture myself wandering through those historic streets, soaking up the atmosphere. But you know what I'm also thinking about? Food. Bangkok's renowned for its cuisine, and I'm ready to dive into those flavors.
You won't be disappointed. Bangkok's food scene is a sensory adventure. From the heat of chilies to the aroma of coconut milk.
I've heard so much about this original fried curry crab.
Yeah.
I read that Samboon Seafood is the place to go. Is that right?
Oh, Samboon Seafood is an institution for fried curry crab. It's the perfect blend of sweet, savory, spicy, and the crab meat is so tender. Be prepared for a generous portion, though. It's best shared.
I'm making a note to come hungry. And of course, no trip to Bangkok is complete without experiencing the street food.
Street food is an integral part of the culture. Affordable, delicious, and a great way to experience the city's energy. You'll find everything from pad thai to mango sticky rice, grilled skewers, flavorful curries, all cooked fresh right in front of you.
Okay, this deep dive is making me hungry.
Yeah.
But before we get carried away, let's talk practical information. What about internet access? Will I be able to stay connected?
You'll have no problem staying connected. Most hotels and cafes have Wi-Fi, and you can easily pick up a local SIM card with a data plan.
Perfect. What about the weather? What should I pack?
Bangkok has a tropical climate, so warm and humid year-round. Pack light clothing, comfortable shoes. Don't forget a raincoat, especially during the rainy season.
Good tip. Now, customs and taboos. Any cultural sensitivities?
Thailand is a Buddhist country, so it's important to respect those religious customs. When you're visiting temples, dress modestly, cover your shoulders and knees. It's also customary to remove your shoes before entering. And remember, the head is considered sacred, so avoid touching anyone's head, even children.
Respect and sensitivity are key. Got it. Now let's talk about money. What's the situation in Bangkok?
The currency in Thailand is the baht. Cash is still king, especially at local markets. You can exchange currency at banks, airports, authorized money changers.
Speaking of cash, are ATMs easy to find?
Oh yeah, ATMs are all over the city, especially in tourist areas. Just be mindful of any fees your bank might charge.
Good to know. Now, getting around this bustling city, what are our transportation options?
Bangkok has a surprisingly efficient transportation system. For longer distances, the BTS SkyTrain, the MRT subway, both affordable and easy to navigate.
So getting around shouldn't be a problem. What about taxis and ride-hailing services?
Taxis are everywhere, but make sure to use the meter. Ride-hailing apps like Grab are popular, often more convenient.
So whether it's above ground, underground, or by car, there's an option. I'm impressed with how well-connected Bangkok is.
It really is a city that's constantly evolving, and the transportation system shows that.
Now, one more practical question. What's the best time to visit Bangkok weather-wise?
The best time for cooler, less humid weather is the cool season, November to February. But it's also peak tourist season, so more crowds, higher prices.
Full trade-off. But even if you can't make it during those cooler months, I'm sure Bangkok is still incredible anytime.
You're right, Bangkok's charm and energy are always there. Just be prepared for the heat and humidity.
And lastly, language. Is English spoken in Bangkok?
Yeah, English is widely spoken in tourist areas, hotels, restaurants, malls, but learning a few Thai phrases is always appreciated, can really enhance your interactions.
It's always a good idea to try and learn a bit of a local language when you travel. It shows respect, can lead to some fun interactions.
Exactly. Even a simple hello or thank you can make a big difference.
Okay, we've covered a lot. Must-see attractions, getting around, even some cultural etiquette. I'm feeling so much more prepared for a trip to Bangkok.
That's what we're here for, but there's still more to come. In part 2, we'll go deeper. Practical tips for navigating the city, from communication to safety and beyond.
Can't wait. Until then, keep those travel dreams alive. Welcome back to our deep dive into Bangkok. Last time, temples, markets, all those amazing things to see and do. It's clear Bangkok has it all. But this time I want to talk about practical tips for navigating the city.
That's smart. Knowing how to get around, stay safe, even just communicate can make your trip so much smoother.
Exactly. So communication first. We talked about language, but what about those times when English isn't enough?
Well, actually, one of the guides suggested downloading a good translation app, especially one that can handle Thai script. You wouldn't believe how helpful it can be.
Oh, good point. I always forget about those. Definitely making a note. But what about, no internet access or your phone dies? Should we all become fluent in Thai?
Fluent Thai. That's impressive. But for a short trip, just a few key phrases. Hello, thank you, excuse me. How much is this? Even if your pronunciation isn't perfect, the effort shows respect.
I agree. A little effort goes a long way. Any other communication tips?
I notice a lot of the sources emphasize nonverbal communication in Thailand. The way, pressing your palms together, bowing your head, it's used for so many things. Greetings, thank yous, even apologies.
I've seen pictures of the way. It's so graceful. Any other nonverbal cues to be aware of?
Yeah, it's considered rude to point your feet at someone or touch their head. The head's sacred in Thai culture.
Interesting. It's amazing what you can learn about a culture just from their nonverbal communication.
Yep.
Okay, let's talk about safety. Any tips for staying safe in Bangkok?
One guide mentioned petty theft in crowded places like markets, tourist spots. Be mindful of your stuff, don't flash expensive things or lots of cash.
Good advice for any big city. What about scams? Anything we should watch out for?
There were a few scams mentioned. One that stood out was the tuk-tuk scam. Drivers offer super cheap rides, then take you on a long route or pressure you to visit shops.
So it sounds too good to be true. It probably is.
Yeah.
How do we avoid these scams?
Research helps. Read reviews of tour operators, transportation services. Be careful with overly friendly strangers who approach you.
Okay, all great advice. What about health? Anything specific to be prepared for?
Several articles talked about mosquitoes. Dengue fever is a concern, so pack repellent. Wear long sleeves and pants, especially around dawn and dusk.
Oh, right, mosquitoes. I always forget. Food and water safety.
Stick to bottled water. For street food, choose busy stalls, those with good turnover. That usually means it's fresh.
Practical tips. I like it. Okay,
Yeah.
Communication, safety, health, what else?
Let's talk about etiquette, especially at temples. It came up a lot.
Right, we talked about dressing modestly, but any other customs?
Take your shoes and hat off before entering a temple. Don't point your feet at Buddha images or use them as photo props. Just remember, temples are sacred spaces.
Important reminders. Visiting temples is such a great way to experience Thai culture and spirituality. So respect is key. Anything else to keep in mind?
Bangkok's a city of contrasts. That's part of its charm. Ancient temples next to skyscrapers, bustling markets next to peaceful parks. Embrace that diversity and be open to new experiences.
Beautifully said. Bangkok really does seem to offer something for everyone. Any final words before we move to the last part of our deep dive?
Just remember, travel's about stepping outside your comfort zone, embracing the unexpected. Go with the flow, be open, and don't be afraid to get a little lost. You might find hidden gems.
I love that advice. It's about the journey. So are you ready to discover those hidden gems? In part 3, we'll go beyond the typical tourist trail into the heart of Bangkok.
I'm ready. From art and nature to wellness and food, there's so much to uncover. Let's go.
Welcome back to the deep dive. I'm so excited to hear about these hidden gems. After all those practical tips, I feel ready to tackle Bangkok.
Good. That's what we want. Give you the confidence to explore beyond the typical tourist spots. really get to the heart of Bangkok.
A lot of the stuff I read mentioned Bangkok's art scene. Seems like there's more to it than just temples and historical places.
Absolutely. Bangkok's a hub for contemporary art. There's a thriving gallery scene, incredible street art, even workshops where you can learn traditional crafts.
Wow, that sounds amazing. What kind of art are we talking about specifically?
One of the blogs mentioned this place called the Bangkok Art and Culture Center, a multi-level art space with rotating exhibitions, established and emerging artists. Perfect way to experience the contemporary art scene.
Okay, that's going on my list.
Yeah.
What about street art? I love finding those hidden murals.
Actually, one of your guides recommended the Bangkok district, known for its murals and energy. They even suggested a guided street art tour.
A tour? That's a great idea. Get some insider knowledge.
Sure.
I can already picture myself wandering those streets, taking photos.
And don't forget about those smaller independent galleries, hidden gems where you can find unique pieces.
Always up for a treasure hunt. So contemporary art, street art, galleries, what else is there?
Well, a lot of your sources mention traditional Thai crafts, silk weaving, pottery, fruit carving. There are workshops where you can learn about them, even try them yourself.
Oh, that's cool. Imagine bringing home a souvenir you actually made. A reminder of your time in Bangkok.
Exactly. It's a way to really connect with the culture. Take a piece of that experience home.
Okay, so we've done art. Now what about those peaceful green spaces? After all that city excitement, a little nature sounds nice.
Everyone recommends Lumpini Park. It's this huge green oasis right in the middle of the city. People go there to jog, do tai chi, have picnics, relax.
Oh yeah, I've heard of Lumpini Park. I can just
Yeah.
imagine myself strolling under the trees, taking a break from the busy city.
And if you're looking for something a little more off the beaten path, there's this island, Bang Krachao. They call it the green lung of Bangkok.
An island
Hmm.
in the city.
Yeah. It's in the Chao Phraya River. It's like a whole different world. Lush and green with walkways through the mangroves, Thai houses, even floating markets. You can rent bikes and explore.
Okay, that sounds incredible. Bang, Krakow. Added to the list. A perfect way to experience a different side of Bangkok.
Yeah, it reminds you that even in a big city, you can find nature. Speaking of well-being, there's something else that came up a lot. Thai massage.
Oh, yes. I've heard so much about it, but never tried it. What's it like?
Well, they describe it as this combination of acupressure, stretching, and rocking motions. It's not just about relaxing. It's about well-being, relieving tension, improving circulation.
Is it painful?
Some people call it passive yoga. The therapist uses their hands, knees, feet to move your body into different positions. It can be intense, but not painful. They usually ask about your preferences.
I'm interested. How do I find a good place?
Ask locals or read online reviews. There are tons of places, but you want experienced therapists and good hygiene.
Good advice. I already feel more relaxed just thinking about it. Okay, one last hidden gem. Let's talk food. Thai cooking.
Ah, yes. We've talked about eating, but what about learning to make the dishes yourself? Cooking classes are super popular in Bangkok.
That does sound fun. What would we learn?
Well, they start with the basics, like making curry pastes. Then you move on to dishes like pad thai, tom yum, green curry. They teach you about balancing the flavors, the sweet, sour, salty, spicy.
Imagine coming home and making those dishes, like taking a piece of Bangkok back with you.
Exactly. A souvenir that you can enjoy again and again. It's a great way to connect with the culture through its food.
This has been amazing. We've gone from landmarks to hidden art, peaceful escapes, even Thai massage and cooking. I feel like I've really gotten a taste of Bangkok.
That's what we wanted. To give you a glimpse beyond the surface, inspire you to create your own Bangkok adventure.
Before we finish, what would you say to someone who's maybe hesitant about visiting Bangkok?
Don't be afraid. Bangkok welcomes everyone. It's vibrant, it's a little chaotic, it's spiritual, it's delicious, and it's always surprising. Be yourself, explore, and create memories.
That's a beautiful way to put it. Bangkok truly seems to have something for everyone. Thank you for joining us on this incredible deep dive into Bangkok. We hope you've enjoyed it.
And remember, the world is full of wonders, so keep exploring. Who knows where our next deep dive will take us? Until then, happy travels.